And now it's time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Take it away, Sam.
So, Ron, this is a show more about the Vikings offense, but I do have a defensive question for you. I'm thinking about Patrick Peterson, who goes into free agency. Maybe he's looking for a longer contract after having a nice year. What would you personally give Patrick Peterson to keep him around in terms of dollars and years? What's the maximum that you would give?
Oh, that's tough. So when you look at Patrick Peterson's age, I think he's going into year 10. You think about cornerbacks and positions like that, how long? So there's a guy by the name of Charles Woodson that played for a lot longer. And what did he do? He switched to safety. I'm not saying Patrick Peterson needs to switch to safety, but I am saying he could do it. Like he could literally be a corner and a safety. So you have him at corner or nickel in certain situations, or you put him in cover 2 situations. And then, maybe when you switch to a Cam Bynum hits down into the dime, Patrick Peterson rolls back into play a deep safety. And then you have a younger cornerback come in. Now, I don't know. Now that's a lot. That's a lot to ask for. I know Charles Woodson did it full time, so I don't know the differences in their game. But I don't know if I would spend a ton of money on it again, because in this 3-4 defense, the whole preface of it is to get to the quarterback. You look at the Steelers. Their goal is get to the quarterback, TJ Watt. You look at a lot of successful 3-4 teams. That's their goal. Those outside linebackers are getting to the quarterback so fast he doesn't have time. The Packers, Quay Walker, like they don't have time. You don't have time to throw the ball. And so if you're going to try to get Patrick Peterson back, I would give him I'd say a 2-year deal. Because then you don't really know, like he's even, he's hinted before at retirement. So you don't know. And then he always says, like he does an announcement on his podcast. I'm going to bring it back. I'm running it back. So he clearly is a guy that kind of is thinking about retiring, but still feels like he can go. So I wouldn't put a ton of long-term into it. But I would say 2 years. I mean, you would talk to him too, find out. I would say 2, if not 3, maybe even, just to make it cap friendly early. So early it's lower. And then if he decides to stick around, you give him more of like playing bonuses. If you play 90% of snaps, you're on the field 95% of the time, meaning he's not getting hurt. This is the bonuses you can get for doing this. Interceptions, all that kind of stuff. I would throw that in there. Well, I don't know if I get away from interceptions, because then you can get a little nasty there, because then guys are just running out of their lanes to try to get an interception. But I would go with a playing bonus. Like I would definitely have a playing bonus, a roster bonus, because those things won't hit you for a couple years, for I think the next year or something, depending on how you structure it. So yeah, I wouldn't mind too. And as far as money, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing like 2-3 million. I don't really know.
He made 4 this year.
Yeah, like I would say 2-3 million. Like, I don't know if he would take less, but I don't know if I could go 5 or 6. Like, if he took 4, as he gets older, you don't get more. Like, your contract gets smaller and smaller. So $2-3 million a year.
Yeah, that's tough, because I think he would believe that he deserves more than he got this year. True. And he played well. He kind of set the culture on that side of the ball. So I think that if you could do an incentive-laden 2-year deal, maybe maximum 12 million, but it's team friendly. You could get out from it after the first year with only a little bit of dead cap. I think that might be about where I would cap it.
If so $6 million a year.
$6 million a year max. Okay. And maybe kind of backload it with incentives. But I wouldn't get into a 3-year longer deal. I mean, he's going to be 33 before we know it. That's just a lot of money to give somebody at that age. And that makes me nervous. And you got to make good investments. So as starved as you are at cornerback, I'd still be a little cautious with that deal for sure.
And I think I was thinking the same thing. I think I was thinking 12, but 3 years. But then it's the 12 is actually incentives. Like it's 3 a year, get you to 9, and then 3 million in incentives. So, up to $1 million a year. You could put like a $750,000 roster bonus. You could put a $250,000 playing time bonus, or you can go 5 and 5. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it where it doesn't end up hitting your cap that year. But yeah, so what you got next?
Yeah, all right. So I want your earliest draft opinion. So the Vikings are locked in, number 23 pick. If you had to choose today, before they cut anybody, before they sign anybody, before free agency happens, what position would you draft?
Quarterback. So it was like Family Feud. Like, I didn't even have to think about that. I'm drafting a corner. I don't care. Like, you got to draft a cornerback.
You're all over that.
I was ready for that one.
Yeah.
Like, you got to draft cornerback. Like, honestly, I hate to say it. Andrew Booth Jr., I don't know if you can wait for that project to work out. It's just one of those, like, that's say cut your ties, but you use him as a depth guy. If he can get healthy, you maybe take the pressure off of him mentally to kind of work into it. Because I saw an interview with Jordan Poyer that talked about when he got cut from the Eagles, and then he learned when he went to the Browns from older guys, and now he is an all-pro. I'm not saying Andrew Booth Jr. can't be one. Like, that could happen. He could take that time, learn from some of these guys, and then become an all-pro. But I definitely think you have to go get you another depth cornerback guy, whether it is going to just be a backup to Patrick Peterson and then start eventually when he leaves. Like that, you have to. There's a lot. Alabama has a corner. South Carolina has a corner coming out. There are some good corners that are going to be on this market late in that 23 slot. If not there, defensive tackle. Like if there's an explosive, nasty speed, like Aaron Donald type of guy that can create havoc in that 3-4, I go get that as well.
You and Luke Inman are on the same page. Luke Inman is all about corner, or he loves this defensive tackle called Siaki Ika, who's like 6'4", 360. Talk to Luke Inman about him next time.
We'll have to do it Friday then. Let's do it Friday.
Let's do it. Let's get into a little bit. Luke would love that. Yeah, I think corner makes a lot of sense. And from what I've seen on the boards, it looks like there's a lot of corners that are going to be available right in that area.
Yep.
So that might be the sweet spot. I got one more question for you. ESPN ranked the 100 most valuable players of the NFL season.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson was 5, and the top non-quarterback. Christian Darrisaw, 53.
Mm-hmm.
Brian O'Neill, 66. TJ Hawkinson snuck in at number 100. Did anybody get left out of the list for the Vikings?
No. I don't think so. I think TJ Hawkinson is too low. I know that. I know he's not 100. I haven't even looked at the list completely, but I know he's not 100. I think he was a little too low. But no, I think they kind of got it right. Because you look at running backs and where Dalvin Cook fits, like he wasn't valuable to the team completely. Like he had some big plays. I don't think other running backs would have done what he did, like in the Giants game, in the Colts game, in the Bills game. You're not getting that from another running back, that explosiveness, that deep ball mentality, the Miami Dolphins game. Like you're not getting that. But was he most valuable? No, Adam Thielen was hurt for most of the year, or injured. Sorry, hurting, not hurt or injured. No, I think they got it right. I do. I think they got it right. I think that's pretty, a pretty good one. Justin Jefferson being the highest non-quarterback. I think that's right. Darrisaw maybe could have been a little higher, but again, offensive lineman. You look at Trent Williams. I'm guessing Trent Williams was in the top 25, probably. Yeah, I think they got it right.
Daniil and Za'Darius, probably the ones that you might argue for, with double-digit sacks and pretty high pressures.
Maybe Za'Darius, because he did have early high pressures, but then he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniil, I can't put him up there just because he wasn't in his right spot. Like I just don't feel like he was always there. Like he would disappear for games, and then all of a sudden he'd show back up. So it wasn't like years before. Daniil was in every single game. He was rushing every single game, pressures every single game. I mean, Pro Bowler. Come on now, like he was a perennial Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this 3-4 defense definitely set him back a little bit, but that happens. Players sometimes get put in positions they're not used to for a year just to learn it, and then the next year they come back stronger. So that could happen as well, because he is a freak athlete. He is very athletic. So maybe he figures it out and he ends up in the top 100 next year as far as, maybe 15 sacks now as a true outside linebacker. Like maybe it can work. Because again, I keep forgetting about DeMarcus Ware and a lot of those guys that made that switch, and they ended up getting it together. So I don't know. But you make a good point. Those two, you could argue they could be in there.
I thought you would pound the table for Kirk.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like I'd have to look at that list, and maybe we'll talk about this Friday. Let's bring this back up Friday, where I have a little bit more time to digest. Kirk, to me, some of the decision making, I could see where they're saying he's not valuable. Now, valuable to your team, I definitely think he's up there. Like the 49ers, none of their quarterbacks can say that because any of their quarterbacks can come and run that offense. I do feel like Nick Mullins will not give you what Kirk Cousins will give you. Not even, I don't feel like, I know he wouldn't. So Could go there. I'd look at that list though and see is there some guys on there that shouldn't be on there that Kirk Cousins should be ahead of. But my guess is when you look at the list of quarterbacks on there, it's probably the guys in the top 15 or the top 10, and Kirk Cousins doesn't fit that mold for them when you're talking about the top 10 quarterbacks you would take. I'm guessing they have about 10 quarterbacks in that list, and Kirk's not one of them. So he's probably 12 or 13 on most people's list, which puts him right outside the 100.